It starts with a sound you'll never forget. The low rumble of a diesel engine outside your window at 3 a.m. You peek through the blinds, and there it is. A tow truck, backing toward your car like a predator closing in on its prey. You rush outside, but it's too late. In under 60 seconds, your car is chained, lifted, and gone. Now imagine that scene playing out 1.73 million times in a single year. That's not a prediction. That's what already happened in 2024. And in 2025, it's happening even faster. Right now, auctions are flooded, dealers are panicking, and banks are cutting off loans like never before. The repossession crisis isn't coming. It's here. And it's about to change car ownership in America forever. And trust me, what's happening next will hit harder than the 2008 financial crash. In 2024, a staggering 1.73 million vehicles were repossessed. That works out to roughly one car every 18 seconds. This represented a 16% jump compared to 2023, and an eye-popping 43% spike from just 2 years earlier. The frightening reality is that 2025 is already on track to surpass these figures. One of the most alarming statistics is that 6.56% of subprime auto borrowers are now more than 60 days behind on their payments. That number is already higher than the peak seen during the 2008 meltdown, and we are only halfway through the year. But here's the kicker. We haven't even hit peak season yet. The difference this time is there's no single scapegoat. In 2008, the crisis had a name, the housing bubble. This time, it's pure automotive overextension. People are signing loans they never should have qualified for, and the math has finally caught up with them. 5 years ago, the average monthly payment for a new car was around $515. Today, it's $745, and that's before insurance, gas, or maintenance. That's a 45% increase, while median household income has barely climbed 12% in the same period. Even the used car market hasn't been spared. The average used car payment now sits at $521 per month, up from $365 just 3 years ago. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. These prices aren't coming back down anytime soon. We've managed to turn basic transportation into a luxury product, and now the bill has come due. On average, Americans need more than 37 weeks of income just to buy a new car. That's not sustainable, and when transportation becomes unaffordable, the entire economy begins to shake, something we're already starting to see. And it's already shaking in the states where people rely on their cars the most. Every year, there's a predictable pattern in the industry that insiders call repo season. It starts in February with tax refunds and ends by summer when repo trucks are working overtime. Here's how it plays out. Americans get an average tax refund of about $3,200. Dealers immediately flood the airwaves with ads urging buyers to use their refunds as down payments. Buyers take the bait, jumping into loans that seem affordable in the short term. But by June, overtime hours at work dry up, unexpected expenses pile on, and the payments stop. And this year, that trap has caught more people than ever before. This year's repo season has been the worst on record. In Dallas, at one of the largest dealer auctions in the country, 6 out of every 10 cars running through the lanes are repossessions. And dealers aren't cheering because most of these cars are in rough shape. Bad engines, wrecked interiors, or repairs so costly they aren't worth the investment. Here's the twist. When a flood of repossessed vehicles hits the market, and most of them are low quality, prices collapse across the board, even for the good cars. And that's the real danger. If you think this is just a poor credit problem, wait until you see who's getting hit next. Marcus Williams thought he had landed the deal of a lifetime. $3,000 down on a $35,000 Ford F-150, with payments that were manageable as long as his overtime held out. By summer, the overtime was gone. 3 months later, so was the truck. He still owes $8,000 on a vehicle he no longer has. Maria Gonzalez lost her 2022 Nissan Altima after missing just 3 payments. Now she takes 2 buses to work, adding 3 hours to her daily routine. These aren't just sad stories. They're warning signs of what's heading for millions more. These aren't isolated stories either. They're snapshots of a widespread breakdown. It's so bad that even prime credit buyers are falling into the same trap. In 2024, auto loan charge-offs, the loans banks write off as a loss, hit $28.4 billion, the worst since 2009. In 2025, the number is projected to climb to $40 billion. Wells Fargo's charge-offs have risen 47%. Bank of America lost $2.1 billion in the first quarter alone. Navy Federal Credit Union has warned that as much as 15% of its auto loan portfolio could default. And here's what's scary. The people inside these banks are just as nervous as the borrowers. Loan approvals have plummeted. 6 months ago, around 70% of applications were approved. Today, that number is closer to 40%, and approvals are often tied to higher credit score requirements and lower loan-to-value caps. Even automakers' own finance arms are hurting. Ford Credit has written off over $4.2 billion this year. GM Financial's delinquency rate now sits at 8.3%, and internal communications at these companies are using phrases like existential crisis. And when automakers can't get buyers financed, their entire business model starts crumbling. The flood of repossessions is dragging down the entire used car market. Dealers once fought over clean repos, but now most aren't worth the trouble. Reconditioning costs, the money it takes to get a used car ready for resale, have tripled since 2019. Even cars that look good on the surface often hide expensive mechanical issues. And here's the dangerous spiral. Falling prices make even more owners walk away from their loans. Auction prices for repos are now averaging 27% lower than their retail equivalents. That kind of price gap means even well-maintained used cars are losing value faster, which in turn pushes more loans underwater. When that happens, more owners walk away from their cars, which fuels the cycle even further. And the real danger? Those falling prices are pulling the entire used car market down with them. This crisis isn't the result of bad luck. It's the direct product of a decade of reckless lending. From 2020 onward, pandemic stimulus, near-zero interest rates, and extended loan terms fueled an unprecedented borrowing binge. Loan-to-value ratios soared past 125%. Dealers and lenders wrote loans for buyers whose debt-to-income ratios were already above 60%. But here's the twist. The system wasn't built to last, and everyone knew it. The focus was on moving metal, selling as many vehicles as possible, with little thought to the long-term risk. Now, the bill is coming due. Automakers know the current system can't continue. Some are experimenting with subscription models, where you pay a flat monthly fee that includes the car, insurance, and maintenance, and simply walk away at the end. No loans, no repos, no ownership. Others are looking at building smaller, more affordable vehicles again, reversing the trend toward $50,000 trucks and SUVs. There's talk of reviving compact sedans, basic utility vehicles, and stripped-down versions of popular models to appeal to cost-conscious buyers. This would be a huge pivot from the bigger is better philosophy that has dominated the last decade. But here's the big question. Will buyers actually go for it? Car-sharing platforms are also growing, offering urban drivers access to vehicles without the long-term debt commitment. In major cities, it's becoming normal to not own a car at all, relying on these short-term rentals when needed. Even dealership models are shifting. Some manufacturers are experimenting with direct-to-consumer sales, cutting out middlemen entirely to shave thousands off sticker prices. The question is, will Americans embrace these changes or cling to the idea of traditional ownership, even if it's no longer affordable? But the survival strategies for regular buyers are still out there, if you know where to look. If you currently have a car loan, check your equity immediately. If you're underwater, consider trading down before things get worse. Pay extra toward the principal if you can. Even small additional payments can help you escape negative equity faster. And remember, the market can turn faster than you think. If you're planning to buy, follow the 24-10 rule. Put 20% down, take no more than a 4-year loan term, and keep all your car expenses under 10% of your gross income. This formula keeps your finances safer and prevents you from being caught in the repo trap. Be especially cautious of repo lot bargains. While they can seem like steals, many have hidden repair costs that will erase any savings. Always get a full inspection from an independent mechanic, not one connected to the seller. Also, think about your transportation needs creatively. Could you downsize to one car for your household? Could you carpool or use public transit for part of your commute? The more you reduce reliance on high-cost auto loans, the more you insulate yourself from this volatile market. But patience is hard when the storm is this close, and the next wave could hit even harder. This is more than a financial crisis. It's a mobility crisis. We built an auto ownership model on cheap credit, long loan terms, and inflated prices. Now, it's collapsing. The repossession wave we're seeing now is just the opening act. The real shock will come when the glut of unsellable vehicles collides with stricter lending standards and falling values. That's when we'll see a shift in consumer behavior unlike anything in decades. And that shift will be permanent. We may be looking at the end of the car for everyone era. In its place could be a system where only a portion of the population owns new cars, while the rest rely on shared fleets, subscriptions, or heavily regulated public transport. This isn't just an economic adjustment, it's a cultural one. Cars have been tied to personal freedom for over a century, and that idea is about to be tested like never before. The auto industry will have to reinvent itself from the ground up. The winners will be the companies that adapt fastest, and the consumers who prepare before the full storm hits. Because the repo wave was just the beginning. The real collapse, it's already here. The repossession crisis isn't only going to hit people behind on payments. It's going to hit dealers, banks, and automakers. And unless there's a fundamental change, the situation will only escalate. So I'll ask you, if you knew the car market was about to undergo the biggest reset in decades, would you buy now or wait for the crash? Drop your answer in the comments. I really would like to know. Because in this market, what you don't know will cost you.